So if you set up a political action committee or a ballot question committee to get engaged in an election, it's a very, it's not an impossible process. It's not, absurdly complicated, but there are some very specific restrictions and requirements about how you raise that money and more importantly, how you report it. If you do a ballot initiative, there's still a very significant set of requirements that tend not to be as limiting as it is for a candidate. So for instance, a candidate can't take money from a foreign national or a foreign corporation. There are strict limits of how much money they can accept. If they're a clean elections candidate, there are a whole series of additional requirements that they have to comply with because they can't take or raise any money. When you run a ballot measure campaign, not all of those restrictions apply. You can take money from foreign entities. There's not a limit in terms of how much money that you could take or that you can accept. But you still have to file as a political action committee or a ballot question committee if you have raised above a certain threshold and spent that to advocate for or against the particular ballot initiative. And the other issue there that's tricky is the law is not static, as it is with any other area of the law. Election law keeps changing. There was just in the last 2 years a new law that requires anybody who makes a contribution of more than $100,000 to a campaign, a ballot measure campaign, to file a major donor report. And there were a couple of large companies that got tripped up because they didn't know or hadn't followed correctly how that law is applied. So you need a set of lawyers who are engaged in this process, but who are also watching how the law has developed. Because as I say, as with any other branch of law, it's not static. The legislature is constantly, especially in this area, especially in the area of ballot measures, because there has been such an explosion of these things on the ballot in the last 20 to 30 years. I mean, just in 2016, we had 5 of these measures on the ballot in 1 year. And so the legislature is seeing that and they're responding to it. And they're saying, they're passing increasingly more and more requirements to say how you can gather your petitions and what are the requirements of people who do it. And if you are raising money, how that money is going to be reported so that the people of Maine know where the money is coming from and where it's spent. And you've got to have people who are following these things, or you're going to get, you're going to bump your head in a really bad way.